Welcome back to Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.
You women.
Do not lump us all in one category.
So you girls, and lie and stretch the truth and try
girls,
to get us jammed up.
First of all, I'm a whole ass woman, right? Think about
no
that.
No disrespect.
Sounds like it to me. So why can't y'all? What is it with men that they just can't walk away?
Depends how good it is. You don't want to give that away.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Wedlocked and Loaded. I am Daniel Laurent.
And I am Leah Nicole.
Come on, girl.
I'm a whole woman.
What? What'd you say?
I'm a whole woman.
I mean,
a whole ass woman to be exact.
Oh, God, Leah. They heard it in the tag. They're well aware of your rhetoric. So, greetings, everyone. Wednesday, February 12th. Hope everyone is surviving and hope some of you are thriving. I know a good portion of us are just getting by and day to day and maybe buying a half a carton of eggs. But, you know, we're here. We made it. We want everyone to, you know, be grateful and just try to, again, as we always end the show, you know, just try to stay in the light, find your peace. Loving yourself and all that good stuff.
For real.
So we have a couple of things on the docket, but seeing we're talking about finding peace, wanted to address something. Are you covering your face?
I'm here, honey. Just
that's a beautiful ring, by the way.
It's alright.
Fuck you, yo.
You want to?
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ. I was just telling Leah, because I have a thing with me where I've said this in interviews, so it's not like a secret, blah blah blah. But like I live with the motto of be the change that you want to see in the world. Famous Gandhi quote, you know, whatever, right? But I live with that every single day, morning to night. So with that, the world operates the way it operates, right? For the most part, it's mostly takers and not a whole lot of givers. And the givers end up getting swallowed up. And, you know,
don't y'all like that?
Oh, yes, Daddy.
Oh, my God, Leah.
I'm
like,
sorry.
Bad timing, yo.
Perfect timing, but go ahead.
And, you know, there is a bunch of disappointment that happens pretty much every single day, right? In some way, shape, or form, there's some disappointment that happens with everyone, I think. But for me, I internalize it different because I literally present every day just that, be the change that you want to see. So things that I would have wanted people to do for me, opportunities that I would have appreciated, a connection that I would have made, any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there was an event that I was made aware of a while ago at a prestigious school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to said event, met people that was there, you know, really nice. It was dope, you know, fellowship, black men, etc. Went again, blah, blah, blah. Met the person that put it on, had a conversation with him, explained a couple of things, told him about the film Cry for Me, trying to have conversations, intentional conversations with young men, this, that, and the third. He gave me some ideas, some suggestions, said send him an email. Sent him an email. We went back and forth about some things. He then put me in connection with his person. Now me and his person are talking and we're figuring out logistics. And for me, I'm trying to, one, set a time and a date. And also I'm trying to secure some sort of funding, like an honorarium, nothing crazy, but something for the domestic violence consultants that I work with, because I want to honor their time and I want to support their efforts.
Mm-hmm.
So when I mention that, it then turns into, you know, there's no budget. We're not able to pay for it. Again, prestigious school, one of the top in the country. Fill in the blanks of however you want to fill it in. Right? I don't want to assume that there's an endless amount of money because that's not my place. However, like when I state the fee, because I'm giving myself for free, I'm giving my film for free, I want to get something for them, even if it's $100, right? Eat anything. So anyway, to put a button on this, there was some back and forth, and I'm like, okay, well, let me know when's a good time to reach back out, because maybe even though it's February, maybe they've allocated their budget already. So maybe I should reach out again in November or December or next January. They reach back out to me and say, hey, just confirmed, we're not able to pay for this at this time. And I'm like, is this going forward in general, or is this just for right now? Hi, Daniel, just confirmed, we're not able to pay for this. I feel a way about it. And I was going to go up to the next event and have a face-to-face conversation with this person, because I don't like, especially as a man and where I am today, I still believe in the old principles that I learned from my father and from men who I was in community with. Your word was all you had. So if you tell me something, I'm holding you to that.
Yeah.
And I also, so that's one bucket. The other bucket is I don't like my time wasted, because we could have just moved on and we could have skipped the 14 emails. And so, and then the other bucket is the shit that's going on with Trump and the fucking DI and all the bullshit. Is it because I'm a black artist and a black creative, and it's fucking like you don't want to be attached to that and you don't want your money attached to that? So it's 3 buckets that I feel a way about. And I thought talking about on here was going to make me feel, and I still am feeling like I want to like shake hands and say, come here for 1 second. I just want to, but Leah says no, and saying, I need to get over it and move past it and all the things. And so
that's it. That's all I got. Just deep breath. Do not get me wrong. Like, I definitely understand the frustration, right? There's been plenty of times I wanted to reach out and touch somebody because of the way, they handled me in terms of wasting my time. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There's times when you actually say something to relieve yourself of the frustration, and then what ends up happening is, the person says something or does not respond in the way that you, in an ideal way, right? And so now you just even more upset. For what? For what?
Well, I just told you for what.
My point is why upset yourself further, right? Because there is a good chance. There's a good chance that the response is not going to be what you feel like it should be.
No.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, because there's about 6 examples of different conversations that I've had
with the same person.
No, Leah.
Okay.
There's 6 conversations that I've had with different people where I didn't have any expectation of the thing, even dating back to the person that did the thing in the club and did the thing to you, and I had a conversation with him, and he denied it and was like, "Oh, that's not my style, and I'll never." Like, I wasn't expecting him to apologize. I wanted him to know that I knew, and that's it. When I had the conversation with the lady that I was trying to do some business with, and then it was no interest, and now all of a sudden when something behooves them, they reach out for something. I had a conversation with them. It wasn't about trying to get an apology. It was like, yo, I want to have this conversation with you because now I'll move on from it. For me, and it has proven, I'm not having a conversation expecting you to own up or apologize or make it right. It's simply for me to have that conversation, and that's part of my healing.
That's your closure.
Where I move on.
That's your closure?
Yeah. And
maybe I talk to myself too much.
I talk to myself too, but part of what I have done, if I don't have this conversation, it stays a part of my story. And when I'm talking to people, like I'm referencing it. And for me, like, I don't want everything to be a part of that. And so either I address it with the person and get it out, or it just becomes a part of whatever. Right. And because of the conversations I've had with these different people, for all different slights that I have felt, I'm like, you know what? I think I have a process of, before I speak to this person, I want to make sure that I don't have any expectations on it, because then I'm not disappointed when they come back with whatever. And I just had a conversation with the person I told you about something else. And the person never officially apologized for wasting my time. But I don't need their apology at this point. But I wanted to say to them, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Because I think for me also, I'm not good at
moving on.
I don't know, Leah. I don't want to play games.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is, say you do something and you say you loan me $20, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I say I'll pay you back next week. And then, you know, now it's a year later. Now one could say like, oh, it's only $20, yo. But the point is, like, we would talk all the time, and we would, like, you know, go to networking events together, give each other rides and shit, go to concerts, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just a little weird because $20. And so for me, I just want you to be clear that you can never do that again. And let's not even do that. Instead of me never saying anything, and then you asking me again to borrow money,
and you'll be a fool to give it.
No, what I'm saying is me now be like, oh man, you remember what happened last time, right? I can't do that. Or, oh, let me get back to you. Or what? Or you can say whatever, but people handle things differently when they don't address shit, and the same thing happens again. So for me, I just would rather be 100% clear. So the people I've had conversations with, and it to this day, it hasn't repeated itself. Now, whether
and you think it's because of your changed action,
clearly you don't. By the way, you're asking.
No,
I think it has something to do with it. I think if I let you know when you slammed the door on my face, or when I was looking for, when all I needed from you was a recommendation letter, and I could have got that job that was fucking a high 6 figures, and you couldn't make the time to type that letter and email it to me, I want you to know that. So then when you reach out to me for a favor or a connection, or you see me with somebody that you've been trying to get a hold of, you won't even think to call me and ask me for that. And if you do, I'm going to say, I can't do that, bro. And I'm going to feel completely fine,
as you should,
with having that conversation. So that's where I am.
Okay, so let me say this. So I hear you, right? And so let's go back to your analogy on the loan and the money. $20, $10, $5, $1. Your word is your bond. I definitely agree with that. Right?
Yeah.
Now, $20, I mean, nobody should forget that they owe you money. Unless you're me right now. But nobody should forget that they owe you money. Nobody should act like they forgot that they owe you money, right? None of that should happen. But let's use that analogy. So, for me, if I loan you $20, if I loan you $50, I definitely expect my money back, right? But if I don't get it back, I'm already upset that I'm going to remind you that you owe me this money. But now you've already made me upset that I had to remind you that you owe me this money. Let's take it from 50. Let's go to 200. Let's just go to 200. Because the reality is that that's a bill that could be that money could be used to pay over here to take care of bills at my home. Right? $50 can be my gas. It's still money is money, but I feel like, 200 is a better play. I shouldn't have to remind you that you owe me $200. Because you know that you got that from somewhere to take care of whatever it was that you needed to take care of. But being that I have to remind you now I'm not too pleased. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. Because you didn't follow through with your word, I can no longer trust you in that realm.
Well, if
I can't trust you in that realm, and not meaning where I can no longer trust you at all, right? Or ever again. What I'm saying is, don't fix your face, fix your mouth, fix your eyes, fix nothing this way to ask me to borrow money to help you out. Don't even think about it. Well, and I don't have to tell you, and if you choose to, it's gonna be no.
But see,
and I don't know you, and my no is an answer. There's no explanation needed.
Yeah, well, that's just different ways that's fine. That's different ways of handling
There's no explanation needed.
But see, I also, I think part of it is from my own thing, and then part of it is how I learned as a kid. I was never a person of just do what I say, right?
That's not a do as I say moment. But I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Are you?
Kinda.
So it wasn't. So I wasn't a person of just do as I say. Like, I would do it because my parents were telling me to do it. But again, be the change that you want to see. Like, I wanted to understand why. I want to know why that has to happen. I want to know why we, have to go down this set of stairs for the fire exit instead of this one. Oh, because this is blah, blah, blah. Oh, you can't take an elevator during a fire emergency. Well, that makes perfect sense. Okay, got it. So for me, it's the explanation was always important to me. Right? Even when, and this is a complete different extreme, but like when somebody posts such and such died, the immediate thought for most people is how? Oh my God, what happened? And you never but it's rude to post, oh man, Jonathan died from gunshot wound.
Not necessarily rude. It's insensitive. It could be insensitive.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's not really anyone's business if you get down to brass tacks. But immediately people are like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And you're hitting people up, and now it's this whole or not, right? You're just like, "Oh my God, that's so sad." But the information is important to me, and then also, I just have also been on the other end of me being in the middle of something, and somebody call me, or I see somebody, or they text me, and catches me off guard with something that I wasn't, it's completely like, what the fuck? So for me, and I've yet to have this happen, when I have the conversation with said persons, it doesn't even come up again because they know. I just want to be clear. Like, if I have an issue with you, I want you to know that I have an issue with you and that it's not weird. If you have an issue with me, I want to know that, so that way I know how I'm going to extend myself. Am I going to, if somebody's looking for an artist and I know that you are somebody who I'm a fan of their art, but I don't fuck with you and you don't fuck with me, I'm not recommending you for anything. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So for me, I just always want to be clear. And if you say that we're clear and then we're really not, now I have a problem with you in a different way because you lied in my face. And this is back to the thing I told you with the NAACP shit.
So
with the person that looked me in my face. Yeah. Like, I have a problem with that. I have a fundamental problem with that.
Well, because they're just not honest people. And they're not.
And I think a lot of people are not. And I just don't have.
I guess that's my point in regard.
But I'm on that though, and I can't really justify or explain it. It just is what it is.
I'm not kind of looking for you to justify it, right? But that's my thing, right? At the end of the day, a lot of people are full of shit.
Yeah.
And that's just, and so why bother getting more shit on you?
It gets it off though.
No, but so now you're giving that. I feel like, okay.
I mean, whatever works. Whatever works for people.
I'm not trying
to
change your mind on the things. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to give you a different perspective, right? Just so you can hear it out. A lot of times people are like, oh, I need it they end the relationship, and sometimes they're not necessarily sure why it ended, and it's like, I still long for this person because I never had closure, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is that? Really what is closure, right? The closure comes from the person telling you to fuck off. Like, that's your closure. Like, that is all you really need.
But are you being literal? If they say fuck off, that's pretty clear.
I'm not.
But if they say not today, that's not being clear to me. Saying I'm not interested versus not today is two different things. Just say not interested. Don't lie to me. I don't like it. And right now, and my tolerance is short. So don't fuck with me. I mean it.
I hear you.
I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Fucking
I hear
whomever.
I hear you. And I'm not saying that fuck off is the literal thing, right? But again, the fuck off can be the action. Doesn't always have to be the words.
But not everyone's aware of how they present.
Most people are.
I don't think so, Leah. Most people aren't. Are you serious?
Yeah.
You think most people are aware how they present? You think most people are aware of how they are? You think that dreamers and doers understand their place in the ecosystem?
So I feel like you're definitely switching shit up.
I'm not. You think someone who you think people that we know who are loud know that they're loud?
Yes.
Now some do, but you think all of them know that they're loud?
Every motherfucker that I know that is loud knows that they are loud.
Not everyone. Well, I mean, and how do you really? How do you know if someone really knows? Right?
How do I know?
No, I'm not. That's a theoretical. All right, so people
theoretical or rhetorical?
Rhetorical. You think that people who, I don't know. I mean, the examples that I'm giving are like blatant things. People who are constantly late, right? They know they're late and they can make excuses or justifications for it. People who overpromise and underdeliver. You think that they know that
they're
they do
aware
that?
You know why they're aware? They're aware because they have already been told.
That doesn't mean that doesn't mean
they
anything. They
are aware of it because they have already been told. Now, what they choose to do with it is a different story.
Yeah, if they don't believe it.
No.
It's like if I tell somebody that they're addicted, they're an addict.
If they don't give a crap and they're choosing not to change it.
Yeah, I agree with that. If they don't give a crap and they don't accept it. A lot of people don't accept things.
They accept it. They don't care to change it.
Well, maybe me addressing shit is just putting it on a record in a real way for me.
Again, if that makes you feel good, great, go for it. For me, it's not that I like avoid addressing things, because I absolutely address it. But for my own checks and balances, like I have to have a conversation with myself before I have to talk to anyone else. And that conversation more so it's my checks and balances. Like, yo, why do I feel this way? Why is it that this thing made me feel this way? Is it me? Right? Is it me? Was it my expectations? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it? And then I can move on. Right? Why did that bother me? Why did that hurt me? Why did it make me feel all the feels? Once I have that conversation with myself, then I can move on. Right? For instance, the people called me. Now, okay, I'm going to call it out because I don't even care. On 2 separate occasions, we went to Milton Hospital. Right?
Mm-hmm.
on either occasion. So, for instance, you didn't listen to me when I said I never wanted to come back here, and you ended up bringing me back there, right?
I didn't take it as like a permanent.
You have to know that when I say that, it is.
Jeez, Leah. I mean, that kind of segues into another thing, but
and we can go back there. But
yeah.
from back into 2004, when I ever said I'm never going there again, I never went there again. So specifically for health, like you're not gonna get the opportunity to fucking continue to mess up, okay? And treat us or me, and by us I mean me and my family, in a way where you make us feel less than. Not okay. But left there after, left the emergency room or whatever after the incident. It took me a few days to even like look at the discharge papers, and they don't even say, they just said treat it with medicine. They don't indicate what kind of medicine. They don't indicate what they actually treated. They don't indicate anything, right? They send me on my way and they say, take these pills every 4 to 6 hours, right? I'm waiting for the pharmacy to call me to tell me my damn prescription is ready. They never send a prescription they never put an order in for the medication that they told me to take. That's not even where I'm going. So let me move on. Fast forward, I get a call and they're saying, this is for, my PT. I'm very surprised that this hospital is calling me for PT. I'm trying to find another facility because I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to go there, right? But I had already said I don't want to go there, right? However, the person that's on the phone doing the intake, she's like, "Oh, this happened on such and such date," and I'm like, "Yeah," and then she's like, "So you haven't been seen since then?" Just like that.
Like accusatory.
Excuse me? I have been seen since then, multiple times. You should be looking at that right now. Because my doctor is the one that freaking put the order in. I was waiting on you all to call because that's what I was told to do. That cemented, like, don't call me like that. So now I really don't even want to be bothered. So, I'm looking for another facility. Now, fast forward, I'm talking to my therapist and she's like, I hear you. And I'm not saying that, the way you received it is not the way that it was, put out. But I'm really concerned, and I don't want you to have to wait any longer. So give them a chance. It's a separate department that you're going to be seen in. And so I'm like, you're right. It is a separate department. But the fact of the matter is, she still came out the side of her neck towards me. That's how I felt.
And you can't let that go.
And I cannot let that go. Now, she's not going to be the one that's treating me. Right? But I already, like, so for me, like, that was my third strike. But, she said, go there. What she suggested to go. She said, make sure you're not alone. When you're being treated, make sure you're not alone. And to ask to ask what the plan is and where the home base is, and maybe I can get on the schedule at the home base outside of that facility.
To transfer out.
Yes, as opposed to waiting for or and searching for, as opposed to searching for another facility, um and possibly delaying the stuff,
Treatment.
the treatment.
Hmm.
And so, definitely, like, heard her out and absolutely plan on doing that. You know what I mean? But when I tell you I'm over it, I'm over it. But for me, like, as much as I look at multiple, like, I dissect things and converse with myself when I'm like having something, like when I have an issue, I kind of needed to hear that perspective of, it's a different department, find out where they're from, see if you can transfer, see what the plan is, and if you're completely turned off by the plan, and or just in general, see if they could transfer you to another facility, to the main campus. I initially had a whole whatchamacallit, why I brought that up and was tying that in, and I don't know what it is now. But I just think overall, I think I understand that it is good to get things out. And for me, like, if it's a stranger, I don't care, because I know that I don't have to see you again. And if I do bump into you again, you've already shown me your cards. You've already shown me your hands. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to waste my breath. All the pleasantries are out the window. Like, I will be I will be respectful until you give me a reason not to be. And that's where I am. I don't, I get upset, and I really hate to get upset, because I know when I get to that level, I really want to burn shit down. And so for me to protect my peace and myself in my life on the outside of the bars, it's easy for me to say, I don't need to have this conversation with this person, because I don't know how I may react if something is said that I take offense to. And at the moment, I'm going to be offended by almost everything that's going to come out the mouth, because it's going to feel like bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I get it. I think, it's different. It's different processes, obviously.
Absolutely.
So,
but if you don't feel like bullshit's going to come out the mouth, then go for it.
I don't even have that, it's more for me thing.
Right.
So.
Yell it at the wall. That's what you're going to be talking to anyway.
No, it's not the same. So anyway.
Have you ever come home, right?
I look a nigga in his eye before I set him the guy, Beanie Siegel, Desert Eagle, realest nigga alive.
Yeah. Have you ever like come home, like when you were younger, come home at like just, somebody just, I don't know, made you upset, but you just knew that you had to in the moment be the bigger person, but you were not over that thing. And then like you've come home, like have you ever come home and just like, you know what I'm saying, like just been in a room by yourself and just start, punching the air or punching the pillow?
Doing the Trey and Boys in the Hood. Punching air. I don't know. I mean, probably. But, I also wasn't, and I don't feel like I am, I don't feel like I am confrontational now, but I think for a large portion of my life, I shied away from any conflicts because I inherently don't want it to be conflicts. I'm not entertained by, even with rap beefs, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are like, oh, I love that shit. I love that. Like, I'm not entertained by, someone arguing in a club and it can possibly turn into a fight, and I want to stand around and watch and see how far it gets.
You're not
Like,
entertained by that, yeah.
I never, like, I'm not like that. I'm not into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I've turned into, and I feel what has happened is, and it's interesting, the very thing that, like Jay-Z, not to compare myself to a girl, but like, once a good girl's gone, bad, she's gone forever, right?
Sure.
Leah, what the fuck, yo?
What the fuck?
Why? What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
Why you?
Because I know that so well.
Do you?
Don't you?
No.
You do. Welcome back.
So, for me, I think with all the different things that can start a person that is, good or, pure, quote unquote, and whatever that could mean.
Me.
And the constant slights and scrapes and shit then jades them, makes them hard, and makes them
less
jaded
patient,
and just
less tolerable.
And then they turn into, it's the artist that was taken advantage of. And now that they have a record label and they get artists and they take advantage of them, instead of doing the exact opposite of what they needed in their careers. It's the kid that grew up without a father, and now that he's a father, he does the same shit that his father did, instead of the exact
You're
opposite.
feeling like it's a vicious cycle, right?
So, but for me, I didn't turn into that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've done is I've become stronger, and I'm gonna address it. It's almost like my version in my mind of fucking crime fighting. Like, the person that did the injustices, I am going to approach that person. And I'm approaching them not on no trying to check you. However, I think a lot of times people do shit and people are not called on it. And I know for a fact there's some recent things where, like, people just let shit go. Yeah. And I'm tired of letting things go. Mm-hmm. And I pick and choose depending on if it can get violent. Like, this thing won't get violent. Right?
Yeah.
But, like, there's certain things that could turn violent depending on
I'll be telling
who
you.
the person, you know what I'm saying? But, like, even the story I told you about the older white man that hit my trunk. Like, he banged on my trunk. Like, I played out how that would go. I played out to the full extent of me on top of him, fucking punching him in the face. I literally seen it. But what does that do for me at this point?
Right. Other than the moment, it feels all right.
And what am I going to do? Beat him up and then fucking run? You know what I'm saying? There's cameras all over. I'm down, like, So, and if I'm going to throw it out the window, it's not going to be for that.
I mean, I would hope not.
So, anyway. I
would hope not.
I mean, this was an interesting dialogue. I mean, we didn't get to the so let's because this is something we wanted to talk
about. Let's go.
Huh?
Go ahead.
We wanted to talk about Sheryl Lee Ralph, right? There was it's not new per se, but, like, people are definitely having opinions about her marriage.
Shit. What was that?
Her marriage arrangement. Let's play a clip of actually her explaining it. We'll play it right here.
Okay, I'm an open book. She's an open book, y'all. Okay, everyone is so fascinated because you spoke on your long distance relationship. How do you feel about,
let me tell you something. That is my husband, Senator Vincent Hughes.
Come on, husband.
Yes. Now, my husband and I, we live in two separate places. Now, is this for everybody? Hell no. But for us, it works. If you're a young couple, you're trying to start a family and everything, this isn't for you. We have been married, we have been divorced, we are married to each other again. Best decision in my life. Oh, this man. But I have my life, he has his life. I've got my career.
Yes.
He has his career. He can't leave Philadelphia and come start here. So I'm like, baby, hold down Philly. I'll hold down LA, doing Abbott Elementary.
Yes. Doing super things.
Hey.
Y'all are on assignments.
Thank
I
you.
understand.
Thank you. And we are getting ready to celebrate 20 years of a good thing.
20 years.
Thank you. 20 years.
Well, it's working.
It is working for us. A lot of folks, they can't even stay married 2 months. Shoot. We got 20 years together, and we are loving each other, and it works for us. Now, if you got problems with trust, you got trust issues, this isn't for you. But he and I, we're on the same place. I tell any woman, you think you can get my man? Go on and try. And if you do get him, you better keep him.
So, what say you about that type of arrangement?
Okay, so even before we get into the arrangement, like, so I've heard this thing, you know what I'm saying? I've heard this before from her. However, today or whenever it was, I heard it differently, right? I was married, he was married, and we're married to each other, right? So I was like, hold on, wait a minute. How many times sis been married? I was married and divorced. He was married. Like no, she said we were married and divorced, and we're married, and now we're married again to each other. So at first I was like, oh, okay. So they was married first, they got divorced, and then they remarried each other.
That's how you heard that?
So that's the first time. That's how I heard it the first time, right?
Interesting.
And I was like, dang. So that kind of makes sense. Like they were married, and then they divorced each other, and then in the divorce, you know what I'm saying? Like they went this, they went their ways.
Yeah.
And at some point they found their way back to each other and remarried and decided to do this thing differently together for the second time. However, I listened to it again because now I have to hear things multiple times. Typically it's the reading, so now I thought it was just the reading, but anyway, I listened to it like I listened to it like 3 times, and I was like, no, wait a minute. Okay, you know what? Let me not even try to see if that's what she was meaning. Let me kind of fact check myself. So it turns out she was married before, and she had a very nasty divorce. In what, 2002, 2001?
She was married for 11 years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the first husband seems very interesting, especially the way he described himself. But anyway.
What?
Are you looking at it?
I mean, I guess, but what, Euro African American?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just interesting. It's just interesting.
God bless.
But anywho, it was a very nasty, nasty, nasty divorce, right? And so I'm like, okay. And so now, of course, I'm like, I'm looking this up, and I can understand, like he has a very prominent job. He's a senator for Philadelphia, and she is, a renowned actress that lives. She's a bicoastal. Let's say she's bicoastal, but she's primarily in LA because that's where the work is. So I can see how. Did you change that? I can see how it works, but the more I looked, I was like, wow, people always got something to say. So I never heard this term before. Now I feel like, okay, and then we can get into the other things. Or should we just go into it? Hey. Okay, so I'll answer the question. How do I feel about, how do I think do you think you can manage that?
I mean, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't know. At this stage, yes, I would probably appreciate it. I think I definitely maintain and manage my living environment a certain way, and there's a certain peace that comes with that, and there's a certain disturbance that I have adopted to um live in. I don't want to say endure and I don't want to say tolerate, but there's a certain disturbance that is my reality. So
disturbance is kind of wild, but okay.
It's a disturbance of the peace that I would
Okay, go
have
ahead.
of everything being
Yeah,
where
go
it's
ahead.
supposed to be. So if I had my own quarters, which is different than having like a man cave. If I had my own quarters where like I have my own bathroom, like blah, blah, blah. And I guess if you have a big enough house and you have a separate wing, you can achieve the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
But in his case, he's, what is he, a mayor or something like
He's
that?
a senator of Philadelphia.
He's a senator. She's an actress. She works 14, 15-hour days. You know what I mean? Like I think it's different if there's someone who is a house husband or a housewife and the person lives somewhere else, or if the person is, you know, a basketball player and they live in LA and you're the wife and you live in Maine, you know, like that's just like, but I can understand, because being a senator, you know, I mean, it's not like you work at Charles Schwab and you can just like put in a transfer to the Northeast region and you can be a branch manager for there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but what she said, you know, doesn't work for everybody. And I think if you're older, I think the reality of that is a little different,
Well,
because hopefully there's a certain security within yourself. You know, you're not trying to procreate, right? So that's not what the goal is. Your kids are older. So, you know, I could see that. I could see, now the frequency in which you see each other would be interesting. Like if it's some shit where you see each other every, 3 or 4 months, I think that's just a little interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is there's I mean, so she's public about her arrangement and that, but like Sam Jackson and Denzel Washington have talked. I mean, Sam Jackson for sure, like he's working all the time. And he said that he feels like that's the secret to their longevity of their marriage. Like he's literally always on set.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he gets home, there's a certain appreciation, like, oh my God, I miss you so much. And, it's not really any of the bullshit that you would.
Bullshit is a nice way to describe things.
Oh my God, Leah. This is like,
I'm just saying.
This is like 2 episodes ago we talked about. But I don't know, to each his own. Everyone has opinions, and people will clearly say, they're swingers. He's cheating on her, and he's fucking everything he can. And it's like, no, I think it's very possible depending on where you are in your life. And if you're a person where like sex is not, like you can enjoy sex, but like it cannot be a need for you. And so if you don't need it, like, if you can literally go, 2-3 weeks and it's just like, then yeah. But if you're a person where like after a couple of days, you're like, yo, I need real flesh. And I ain't talking no lights and I ain't talking no blow up dolls. And I'm not going to get no escorts. I need some real shit. It might be a little tricky for you. So depends on where you are.
Well, like I said, I thought it was pretty interesting, just the fact that, and I think it works well for them specifically because they have both, they've both been married before, right? And so I think getting married later in life after having been through a marriage and you tend to know, you tend to know, and just a long term relationship period, you tend to know what you want out of life and out of, well, for specifically out of a spouse or with a spouse. You tend to know what you want from a spouse, right? Or within a spouse. What is happening? And so, like you said, it works. What is going on?
Leah, it's a goddamn commercial,
it works
babe.
for them.
Like, okay. Jeez Louise, yo. I actually turned it to like the dullest channel.
But it wasn't dull.
Babe, it was a moment of like a flashback of a thing. All right.
Anyway, have you ever heard of a lavender marriage?
No.
So I guess it's similar to like they're married, similar to like a beard, like a person being the person's beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of the talks. Like it works because they have an arranged lavender marriage.
That's what people feel like Sheryl Lee Ralph is?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And I guess
but that's different than Monique's marriage.
I guess by the lavender, it means that both even though they're married, and I'm not saying that that's their thing, because I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But that's the talk on the town. They're saying that although they're married to each other, they both have other people.
Interesting. Well, marriage isn't a one size fits all.
This
clearly.
is true.
So
this is so true.
And everyone has their judgments and all that shit, and then people find themselves in all types of situationships and shit that they didn't agree upon.
This is also true.
So I appreciate if two people are able to agree on whatever it is and live it out. But salute and God bless.
I think I definitely can do it though.
What, a lavender marriage?
No. I'm not gonna play that game. But just live on different coasts or just in separate houses. I can definitely do it.
Yeah, that way you can have your organized chaos all to yourself.
Not for that reason.
Be fucking, have you fucking stupid girls' nights every night.
I wouldn't have a girls' night every
until
night.
2 a.m. What is happening?
Oh wow, that's so interesting.
Leah, shut up, yo. Like, you always want to be funny and fresh.
Yeah, it's the way I was born.
Well, that's a problem. Anyway, that's interesting. But I think also whenever something is not traditional,
when it's different for people always have something to say.
People want to try to classify and identify it and say what it is or what it must be and blah blah blah.
I agree with that as well.
But I even though people have said it's foolish or whatever, like I still had a lot of hope of certain things and thought that people presented in the way that they were. And so, definitely back in the days, Will and Jada, that's long gone. And they're, it is what it is. Remy and Papoose, like that was like dope because they're more on the younger side, and so that was dope to see. Barack and Michelle, I mean, I think that just kind of is what it is. I think that there's a certain level of I think what I appreciate, I think Michelle shows a certain level of transparency and vulnerability. And she's more of a real person than like, Barack is, in a sense of him being like a politician, because there is a thing to that. Right? He's very charismatic and he's a superstar, but he's a politician. And so there's just certain things that goes with that. Michelle is a person that's still, she would show up to the cookout, but then she can go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner too.
I feel like Barack will do the same, honestly.
Yeah, but in a different way. And we saw, and people don't know the full story and everyone has their things, but like, for her not to go to President Carter's funeral. She certainly as much like I will cut my pink I can't see her sitting there talking to Donald Trump in the way that Barack was.
Mm-hmm.
I literally can't see that. And like you, her face is very like, get me the fuck out of here. I can't see her talking to Melania. I can't see Melania talking to anybody. But I can't see her making small talk. And I appreciate that type of energy, especially now, because like, enough, yo. Enough of the games and all of, again, don't, anyway, I don't want to rehash that again. But, so Sheryl Lee Ralph, we say that we both could possibly do long distance.
Long distance or just live separately, because that's two different things.
No.
What do you mean no?
Long distance relationship and living separately is not the same thing.
What? I said they are two different things.
I'm saying that they're the same thing.
Living 6 hours away by flight or living freaking a town over. It's very different.
So where does he?
So they live on different coasts.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying is, I'm asking you, having a long distance marriage or having a marriage where you both have your separate like you have your own homes.
I'm kind of perplexed.
Okay. So for me, I don't necessarily, I'm saying like I can do it. I don't necessarily have to live on a separate coast from you in order to have that happen. I can live in the same city. Or
yeah, so I
state.
said if it's another state, that's long distance. You don't look at that as long distance if it's in another state?
I'm saying you can still have that arrangement in the same state. And it,
you're to that. Okay, so that's what you're, all right. So if I lived in Rosendale and you lived in Peabody, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's a stretch, but yes.
Okay. But we agree that a long distance relationship. Okay, I see why you were contesting what I'm saying. All right. I'm okay. I get it.
You're trying to get away. That's what you're trying to do.
No, because you were focused on you could do it and we could be in the same state and just live in different houses. But I'm not thinking
I'm
micro.
saying it doesn't have to be.
I'm looking at period.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at them being long distance and saying, I'm thinking like literally of modeling them. I'm not thinking about a town over. But, and so that's why when I'm like long distance and living in two separate places, it is the same thing. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean that could be interesting. I and that's a very easier thing to do anyway, especially if you meet as adults and you both have your own thing. Now, if one of you owns a home and the other one has an apartment, then I think just economically at some point it probably turns into consolidating and but if both of you literally own property and now you don't want to turn into a landlord and you don't want to sell your house, I actually think that's kind of fly and that's kind of fun,
You think so? I was gonna ask, like, at what point, so how do you schedule? Like, how often do we see each other? You know what I'm saying? How often do you sit over here? How often do you sit over there? Like, how does that? Like, I just want to kind of like.
I think that can just free flow, and I think that it can be really creative where like you know, you plan like a romantic evening and it's a whole thing, and you can have like themes and shit depending on your, I mean, if you have just like a, you know, 400 square foot such and such, just a little, you know what I mean? But you could do some shit where a person walks in the door, and as soon as they walk in, you know, like music comes on and it's like this whole thing.
That sounds so lovely. Speaking of romance, you know, Lover's Day is coming up.
Leah, the show's over.
Oh, why?
We're past time, babe.
Okay, so you're gonna cut like 4 minutes out.
What's your point, baby?
Nothing. That's fine.
Leah, like, what was your point?
I was just gonna ask you what plans you got for us.
What plans do I have for us?
Yeah.
This goes to the role thing, right? Where, like, you know, people subscribe to roles until they don't subscribe to them.
So that means you don't have any plans for us. No, that's it. It's literally just like 2 days away.
Yeah, but I mean, I figure stuff out later, last minute.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But you don't know that. You don't know that it's last minute.
I do know it's last minute. I know it's last
You've
minute
never
when it
known it
happens.
was you know it's last minute because I'm not saying anything, and that's assuming that I'm actually being truthful.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that I have done, you do not know that it was last minute. And I'll tell you why. Because my last minute is still thoughtful and still flushed out. It's not like half-assed and piecemealed and, you know, I have this whole thing to go to this restaurant, and then you get to the restaurant and they close and they don't open until 10, or they're closed that day because they're on holiday. Like, it's very thought out. So, you know, that part. So
Listen, anyway.
Suck your egg.
I don't want to suck anything, but
yeah.
I will for an upgrade.
What? What are you saying?
And on that note.
Oh, that's what happened.
Ow.
Yikes. Okay. All right. So, same bat channel, same bat time. We will see y'all next week. You have a Black History fact?
Mm-hmm. All right. William Tucker, son of an indentured servant from Great Britain, was the first recorded African child to be born in the colonies in 1624.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the book. Oh, we're gonna work on this, guys. Gotta have like a full on, like, you watch The View when Whoopi like has the whole thing, like,
right, but we're not gonna do all of that.
Yeah, you don't have to do the whole thing, but like you gotta be like, you know, on this day, such and such. Like, I just learned that the black man invented
but
the ice cream cone. I think you literally just said one sentence, and it, like, I'm expecting you to go into.
He was the first African child born on record. That's pretty significant in 1624. All right,
man.
Alexa Kennedy,
Babe, just
the first Black woman to become a neurosurgeon specializing in pediatric surgery.
But like, I think like 2 sentences for a person is good, and you can like say like, so say if you said like first in pediatric surgery, you know, she performed 700 and blah 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 and discovered the first heart valve, and it's like, oh shit, that's dope. Like, you know. Anyway, we'll work on it, guys. We'll get it together for you.
You're gonna erase that shit, because don't sit up here and talk about you're gonna work on it.
No, we're gonna work on it. We always want to strive for perfection and be better.
So what?
Yeah, what the all right, guys, we will see y'all same bat time, same bat channel. You know what it is. WEDLocked and loaded. Yeah.
All right, hold on.
Oh my god, guys.
Alexa Irene Kennedy, born November 7th, 1950, is a retired American medical doctor specializing in pediatric neurosurgery. She was born in Lansing, Michigan, and she earned both her bachelor's and medical degree from the University of Michigan. After completing her residency at the University of Minnesota in 1981, she became the first Black woman to become a neurosurgeon. This came after Ruth Kerr Jacoby became the first American woman to be board certified in neurosurgery in 1961.
Wedlocked and loaded. We'll be back next week. You know what it is.
That was awful. All right, Black people, party people.
Oh my God,
just kidding. Wedlocked and loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.